So, hey guys, welcome back to the KP show. Today we are very happy. Beaming smile on our faces is an indication that India has done well on the day 2 of the first test match of the Border-Gavaskar Trophy 2024. So, India bowled out Australia in a fairly quick fashion, post which KL Rahul and Yashasvi Jaiswal struck together a 172 run partnership, which leads to a total of 218 run lead over the Aussies. So, India in a dominant position. And Pratik, over to you. Any thoughts about the day?
Yeah, it was a good day for India today. I think we batted really well. We batted out two sessions. We scored plenty of runs on a good, considerably good run rate, and we have not lost any wickets as well. So both the batters are looking very settled on the crease, and I hope tomorrow Yashasvi as well as KL go on to score 100 each.
Yep, that would be what the entire India is hoping for. And yesterday we saw a lot of seam movement. We were also discussing about how the Australian pacers were getting the balls to go over the stumps because of their height. You mentioned that comment yesterday. So I was today looking into how they bowl. Will they push their lengths a bit forward to make sure that the ball hits the stumps? They were fuller, but they again dropped back short as well. But what stood out for me was the lines that they bowled in the first 10 overs of the Indian innings. I felt they were a lot wider. Initially, they tried to bowl onto the body and onto the stumps, but KL Rahul and Yashasvi Jaiswal were quite positive today. They tucked off all the balls that were on middle and leg onto the leg side, which forced the Aussies to go wider and then try to create an impact from there. More of like a waiting game rather than a strategy, I felt from the Australian side. Although they had aggressive fields, it was kind of defensive. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, they bowled slightly wider lines with the new ball today. Don't know why. And the same thing I heard in commentary as well, that they were not attacking the stumps as they should have, because the ball was not bouncing as much like yesterday. Because if you saw the pitch today, at least by the end of second session by T, the grass had turned almost yellow, so which means the pitch has lost a lot of moisture. Now it will start to dry up. In another day, the cracks will start opening up. That means the bounce is going to go lower. So the bowling full was a good option today, at least. But not sure why they didn't go for the stump lines much. There were a lot of half volleys as well by both Starc and Hazelwood. Starc and Cummins. Hazelwood was as usual, very good. Just considered 9 runs in his 10 overs. But the others, I don't know. I didn't feel that they were very up to the mark today. And very good batting, to be honest, by both KL and Yashasvi. In the first session, means the second session of the day, if you would have seen KL bat, KL was very confident with his leaves. He left everything that was to be left. Not very less fall shot percentages today compared to yesterday. So I think, yeah, it was a good, all in all, a good performance by India. Much better performance by India. Australia didn't have a plan. It seemed after 15, 20 overs, they gave Marnus the ball. I felt they didn't have a conclusive plan how to get these people out. I think they were just waiting for them to make a mistake so that they could lash onto India, but it didn't happen today.
Exactly. And you talked about Josh Hazelwood. He bowled an incredible spell. I think it was the post tea session, the third session of the day, where he looked like troubling the batters. He got one or two close calls as well. And what I observed today is Yashashvi played with soft hands. So in most of the cases, the ball was not reaching the slips. That also happened a few times. So that was quite surprising because generally you expect a lot of bounce on the surface of Perth wicket, but it wasn't the case today. Talking about seam movement, earlier in the day, Bumrah got rid of carry of the very first ball. That was due to seam movement, but we saw the seam movement going downwards as the innings progressed. With Stark and Lyon, you were talking about it earlier offline that Stark and Lyon at that point of time was the longest partnership across two innings. So I think
Yeah,
that was a factor. Hmm.
today was a very interesting stat that came up. Stark and Hazelwood, not Lion. Stark and Hazelwood batted
Sorry,
for
my bad.
more than 100 balls, which was the
Yeah,
longest partnership in the first two innings in terms of balls. That's
in
a
terms
very
of
crazy
balls.
stat, given the
Yep, yep,
batting talent that these two teams possess. And yeah, that's a very crazy stat. The two tailenders are having the longest partnership, and that is
yep, yep.
also one indicator that batting will come easy as the test match progresses. So at least it was for today. Now, if the pitch starts drying up significantly, then again it will become difficult. Cracks will open up, the ball will
Yes,
turn square, roughs will be created, and all those things come into play.
yes, exactly. Exactly. That is what I think that was the only part when these two guys were batting, Stark and Hazelwood, that India might have gotten a bit frustrated. So if you remember, we were predicting today's day, and you predicted, of course, correctly that they would get 110 or 120. They eventually got bundled out for 104. My thoughts yesterday was that it happens a lot with India that the tail gets a lot of runs. That's why I went on the higher side for 130. And your bold prediction yesterday that they could get all out for 85 was about to come just right, because they were down 9 down for 79. But again, this partnership happened, and as you mentioned about the surface getting a bit easier to bat, we saw that in the second innings as well. Basically, the second innings for India, and yeah, that's all. That's the part. I think we let them off with the runs, but I think the batting really pulled us back. I felt we should have wrapped them earlier, but it is what it is.
Maybe
It has to be done.
you can say they scored 10 runs more, but that is fine. I mean,
That is
the way
fine.
we batted, it's fine.
Yeah,
And
and just
KL,
to the, Mhm.
yeah, KL and Yashasvi put. I think after 2018 tour, this is the first time that some batters from the BGT batted for two sessions together. I think
Yeah, that
back in the day it was Pujara
Kohli
and
and
Kohli
Pujara were playing.
In Melbourne,
Yeah,
yeah, in 2018,
2019
two
was it?
successive sessions.
2018,
So
2018.
two successive sessions in a Senate test. So that is quite a brilliant batting performance by both of the Indian openers today.
Yep, yep. And to explain to our viewers how the pitch was tough initially, then it became easier, then how we are saying that it's going to be tough after this. Let's just try to explain. So on day one, there was grass on the surface, which helped the seam movement. There is a brilliant stat that we are going to be talking about in the stat section, uh, which will highlight this further. So there was grass on day one, which assisted the seam bowlers. On day two, what happened is due to the drier conditions in Perth, the grass dried up. And since the grass dried up, there was not enough movement of the surface. Therefore, the seam movement decreased. And then, as we go further, if the weather continues to remain hot, the pitch will dry up even further, leading to the formation of cracks. And also, add to it the fact that the bowlers are bowling round the wicket, which will also create rough, which again could mean that the cracks will open up further and batting will become difficult as the day progresses on day 4. And if the play goes on till day 5, then on day 5 as well. I mean, that's what we are presuming. Um but also, one thing, Pratik, we have observed the same thing in Brisbane, that we were expecting and anticipating that the pitch would deteriorate further, but I think it was a drop in
That is
surface or something.
that no 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 that was not the case.
But you said,
The problem with Brisbane was, if you remember, on day three and day four there were rains. If you remember
hmm,
the last day the play was extended for 1 hour, right? They had to bowl about
which helped retain the moisture.
101 hours, 101 overs for that day. That was a
Yeah,
prescribed number of overs before the play. Started on day 5 back in the 2021 BGT. So that was the reason. Because of the rain, again the moisture seeps in, the pitch remains fresh. But here in Perth is a desert city by geography. If you
desert
go,
city. Hmm.
Perth is on one end of the desert, so it's a very hot. The climate is very hot there. So As if the temperature increases, the pitch will start to dry up, and if it dries up, you lose the
Cracks will
moisture.
form.
Cracks will start coming up. So the in between phase of these two phenomenons, the batting will be very easy. The bounce will be
Yes.
consistent. The pace will be not very on the very high side like it was yesterday, as it was a green,
Yesterday.
almost a green top. But once the cracks open up, again it will start favoring the bowlers. Variable bounce, the ball will start drifting off the surface. For the spinners, the cracks will come into play, and all those things. So the key for means my key pick for tomorrow is we should bat as long as possible. So we should make sure that when Australia come into bat, they have to deal with the cracks. Means the cracks would have come up by then. Hoping for a hot sunny day tomorrow
Definitely.
as well. Also, another strategy with a strategic point of view that this is going to be a long series, like 5 match test series, right? So it's best to tire out their fast bowlers because these three, Starc, Hazelwood, and Cummins, if they don't come good, there is no way Australia can keep up with us. There is no way.
For sure.
Leon will only come good when on day three and on day four and day five. Before that, I don't think Leon will come good in the any of the surfaces apart from Sydney, because Adelaide is fast, Melbourne is fast, Gabba is very fast going forward. So only place where Leon might help in the first 2 3 days is Sydney, because it is kind of it's very similar to wickets here in India. But the other wickets, I think these three have to be very good. So for us, from a strategic point of view, I think we should bat out the entire day tomorrow and score as much as we can. Not like score 100 in every session, not required. We can go in on an easy pace like 3 runs per over or 3.5 runs per over. That is very good. If we do that and we pile up to somewhat around the lead, somewhere around 450, 500, the game is done for us. We are going to win
Exactly.
definitely if the play continues. And I don't see any weather
Exactly.
forecast which presumes rain in Perth. So yeah, that's very much.
I'm also of the similar opinion that we should bat the entire day tomorrow. So as you know, I'm a big proponent of intent. But again, when I say intent, it doesn't mean that I want to see boundaries every ball. The intent means the will to score, not just to block and block, just for the sake of it, right? I think the Indian batters
I,
have maintained the balance very well, and what they did today is exactly the definition of intent. They put away the loose balls, they took singles wherever they could, no extra vagant slogging just for the sake of it, and also at the same time, not just bogging down just for the sake of it. There was a complete balance on how to bat aggressively and positively, at the same time not taking unnecessary risks. So I think that is the intent that everybody wants to see, and that is what was shown today by the Indian batters. And completely agree with you that we should bat the entire day tomorrow. I am presuming there will be beautiful batting conditions as well. Don't see the pitch deteriorating so quickly, because
yeah,
Australia
that
generally
correct.
is even. And the other thing is, the only difficult part would be the first 10 overs tomorrow, because, of course, you start new. You have to begin from zero, although they are 90 or something. Jaiswal is 90 odd on something and like that. But when you start a new day, it's a new beginning. You have to be humble. You have to start from zero and you have to get going. That's how they should play. And the
Also,
second tricky phase of the game would be when Australia takes the new ball, which would be somewhere in the second session. So those are the two phases of the game tomorrow that we have to be careful about. But apart from that, I think we should bat throughout the day, tire out their bowlers, and then see what we can do with the ball on day 4 and day 5.
no, what happens tomorrow is why it will be actually tougher is because the pitch will be under covers for the night. Okay.
Hmm.
So, being a desert city, the temperature cools down significantly during the night. So, some moisture will seep in. So, when they
Yeah, of course.
uncover the wicket tomorrow in the morning, then you will get that movement in the first 10 15 overs. Depending how the ball move,
Exactly.
how is the condition of the ball, I am not sure about it, but it's about 57 overs old now, right? So there will be some they can reverse because Cummins, Stark, and Cummins and Stark both know how to reverse the ball, right? So they can make use of the reverse swing if it does happen, and yeah, So it will be slightly tougher in the first hour of the play tomorrow. And also, they are 23 overs away from the new ball, right? So if it doesn't reverse much, they can even quickly chip in with the overs with Nathan Lyon or and some other spinner on the other end. May it be Labuschagne or the other guy, Travis Head. So if they quickly go on with the overs, then they can get the new ball before lunch as well. If there is moisture,
Hmm.
they can make use of that as well. So that is another way of thinking
Yes.
about the things.
I was thinking like we had 30 odd overs to go, but 23 overs means they will definitely get the new ball probably in the first session, towards the end of first session, or right at the beginning of the second session.
Yes,
Yep.
that depends how they maneuver the overs, means how they distribute the
How the
overs among the
and
bowls.
it all depends on how we bat tomorrow, the first session. Again, what you mentioned about the moisture that applies all across Australia. That is why we see historically for India earlier in the day we tend to lose a lot of wickets, and that too in chunks. And that has also been a problem for India in recent times, losing wickets in chunks. So I think that is what we need to avoid. And yeah, play cautiously for the first hour tomorrow, and then see what we can do with the bat. That's how India should progress, in my opinion. I think we both are on the same page with this one. So yeah,
Let's go to the
moving
start
on to
section,
the
Sai. I am very
yeah,
intrigued about what you have today.
yep. There are a lot of cool stats that we have for the day. So we were talking about seam movement. There is one stat that there have been only 94 days of play where the ball seemed on average more than 0.793 degrees, which was on view yesterday, and only one of those days had a lower batting average than 10.64 by India and Australia, which happened yesterday, which was a test between South Africa and Australia in 2022 at Brisbane, which had a average deviation of 0.81 degrees, and the batsman there averaged just 9.16. So that goes to show how difficult the conditions were for batting yesterday, which resulted, again, the conditions were that, but again, the batsman did not show any application purely, and that factor resulted in just 181 runs for the loss of 17 wickets for both the sides. So that is a brilliant stat. And if you want to see what happened today, on contradiction, the C movement on offer was decreased significantly, as we already know, and it had decreased by nearly a fourth of what was there in the first innings. Like from 48.8 percentage of balls deviating off the seam in the first innings, it reduced to only 27.3 percentage of balls seaming in the second innings. So it is quite intriguing to see how the conditions have changed the course of the test match. We always observe, fortunately or unfortunately, mostly unfortunately for India, because almost every time when we bat, bowling conditions are on offer, and when we bowl, batting conditions are not offer. It has happened to us in the last two WTC finals as well, against New Zealand and
Correct.
Australia. But now I think for the first time, or if you can recall any other times, it has happened
No,
in
I
our
don't
favor.
recall any such
So
incident. I don't recall any such incident which turned the match in our favor. Always it
yeah,
was the conditions. It has
we have
always been
always
like
been
that.
on the receiving end. So
Receiving side.
fortunately, yeah, fortunately that has changed. And also one more stat: fast bowlers, the primary fast bowlers in this test match across both the teams have extracted a fall shot response of 26.7 percentage, which is the highest in a red ball test in Australia in the last 10 years. Can you imagine that? So that is again a credit to how well the bowlers have used the ball. And like as we know, the old Kookaburra is easier to bat against, but these bowlers have absolutely made sure that they make as many inroads as possible with the new ball, at least in the first innings of both the sides.
Correct.
And yeah, so that is the start. Now coming to the Indian batting, we there was a lot of talk about KL Rahul, and finally he has come good, so it's great. He is the one who is involved in the most 100 plus opening partnerships in Sena countries since the year 2000. And it's not too much, it's just three partnerships. So the three partnerships for him were one with Rohit Sharma, one with Mayank Agarwal. The partnership with Rohit Sharma was at Lords in 2021, and the one with Mayank Agarwal was in Centurion in 2021 as well, where he got that 100. And the third one is today with Yashasvi Jaiswal. And moving on to further stats, Yashasvi Jaiswal scored 33 sixes in a calendar year in Test cricket, which is this year, and he ties with Brendan McCullum, who did the same thing in 2014.
Where is
So
there is no Ben Stokes on the list?
there is Ben Stokes on the list, and Ben Stokes is on third position with
Okay.
26 sixes. I know Ben Stokes is your favorites, one of your favorites, so he's there in the list definitely. Aggressive cricketer, we like to see him play. Big
Always
man
going for
with
the win.
yep,
The
yep.
best
Always
part
trying.
about Ben Stokes is he's always going for the win. That's the best part.
Yes,
That is what it
yes,
means in my books. You
yes,
need to know when to attack. Not like you go attack every ball. You need to know what I need to do to win the game from a point. And Stokes
yes,
knows that very well.
yes. Definitely, definitely. He just smashes the opponents when he's on song, and that's what we did to Australia. So 104 was the first innings total for Australia. That is the lowest total in Test cricket for Australia at home since the year not the lowest, the third lowest total for Australia since the year 2000.
Okay.
And that's an achievement again to our Indian bowler. And also one more fact, the partnership that KL Rahul and Yashasvi Jaiswal achieved today is the highest opening partnership for an Indian pair in Australia. So this follows up the partnership of Virender Sehwag and Akash Chopra, which they put together in the Sydney Cricket Ground back in
Back in
2004. That
2003-4
partnership
series,
of,
yeah.
and that partnership is of was of 123. So already smashed that. I'm looking forward to more. Probably the first 200 opening partnership as well. Again, where we mentioned tomorrow the first hour of play is going to be difficult, so we have to be careful about that, and then just bat throughout the day is what we would like to see. So those
Yeah.
are all about the chats that we have. And any final comments before we wrap
Uh,
it up for the day?
yeah, I'd just wish India bats tomorrow the entire day and score as many runs as they can. Also, that will be good for the confidence of our batsmen, especially what happened against New Zealand last month in the last series. So, yeah, I just want them to bat as long as possible and gain all the confidence going into this series.
Definitely, that's what I would also hope for. So I think that's all for the day. We are looking forward to join again on day three. Let's hope India has a dominant day three as well, and we'll be happily joining with all of you. Consider liking our content, sharing our content, and subscribing our content if you like it. Please make sure to let us know what we can do better in the comment section, or let us know any topics that you want us to talk about in the comments. So till then, peace out. Ciao.